If you're like me, then one day you were randomly watching Netflix and there was a documentary with two dudes in black t-shirts talking about something called minimalism and how it really changed their lives, how getting rid of things changed their lives, how they were happier with less, how they were able to become financially free, and shaking that feeling of constantly wanting to want. To me, minimalism really did feel like the answer. And if you've been watching the channel for some time, then you'll know that I took it to an extreme that didn't feel good anymore. Nowadays, I feel like I've really found a happy balance. Rather than living for minimalism, I found a way to make minimalism work for me. Looking back, these were the main mistakes that I made that really turned minimalism into something more like miserableism. So if you're looking to explore that kind of lifestyle, then I think it's a good idea to keep these mistakes in mind. Before we get into it, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Aura. I'm so excited to be working with them again, and I've been using Aura for the past 1 or 2 years now. I really like Aura because it's the only mindfulness and sort of spiritual app or tool that I've used that I've actually been consistent with. And that's because they have a really great variety of practices and things to choose from, like sleep stories, CBT, life coaching sessions, guided meditations, and so much more. For me personally, I'm actually quite resistant to things like affirmations, manifestation, and more like woo-woo things. But the more I explore it and use the prompts from Aura to help me, it's actually really helped change my mindset about a lot of things. For me lately, I've really been trying to work through a scarcity mindset, things like imposter syndrome. I mean, we talk all about that on this channel. And in addition to therapy with an actual person, Aura I find has really helped me just sort of check in with myself, and the actual delivery of the content I really enjoy because it's done in such a way that, you sort of welcome it. The content that you're given is completely personalized. So if you want to focus on things like sleep and meditation, and you can even sort it by your favorite coach, like if you like their voice or the things that they say, you can customize your experience as much as you want. So if you want to get started with Aura completely for free, the first 500 people to click the link in the description below will get a free trial of Aura plus 25% off a yearly subscription. Thanks, Aura. Let's get into the video. Minimalist mistake number 1 was thinking that it was going to be the answer to everything. You know what? I gotta say, it really did help with a lot. It kind of was the answer to a lot of things, but ultimately, it didn't solve all of my problems the way I thought it would. Don't get me wrong, I had a really poor and toxic relationship to things, to shopping, to my own self-image. I was looking for a lot of the answer to my problems in material things as a means to try to elevate my status and my own self-worth even. So in a lot of ways, minimalism really seemed like the antidote to that. Not to mention how everybody always talks about how happy they are now that they've discovered minimalism. It takes them less time to get dressed, they're saving money, they are spending more time with their family, and to, above all, live a more meaningful life. I mean, who doesn't want that? Really. I will admit it felt good. I started decluttering my things. I was starting to see a lot of progress in my physical space. Things were becoming easier to clean. It was easier to get dressed in the morning. I was seeing the needle finally move on my debt. Minimalism rocked. It was amazing. And it was such a high and such a relief to see results and actually see progress being made in my pursuit of less. But here's the real truth. Minimalism isn't going to solve all your problems because you can get rid of all your material possessions and live your best tiny home life. You can declutter a lot of things, but you can't always declutter all of your problems. Minimalism definitely can give you the space and the time and even the financial resources to focus more on them and deal with them. But life doesn't really work that way. So the mistake to avoid here is getting into minimalism thinking that it's going to be your answer. I think it's certainly there to help, but it's not the be-all and end-all. Mistake number 2 was over-decluttering. I basically made minimalism all about the stuff, especially the deeper I got into it. In my personal journey, a lot of my clutter and excess came in my closet. I loved shopping for clothes, I love fashion, and I overbought and indulged in fashion to a point of excess. And when I discovered minimalism, I started getting rid of stuff. That's what everybody says to do. They talk about starting with the stuff and how much better they feel with less stuff around. So naturally, I went for the stuff. I essentially went from compulsive shopper to compulsive declutterer Is that a word? Declutterer. But over time, my relationship to decluttering really changed, and I started to turn decluttering into almost a competition with myself. And I think it's honestly because I was looking for that feeling of relief and satisfaction that I got from my first few declutters. Believe me, it feels amazing to get rid of a bunch of shit that you don't need. Nowadays, when I am decluttering, I like to look at it from a perspective of what do I want to keep versus what should I get rid of? Focusing only on what to get rid of, I don't know, it just kind of feels like a downer after a while. And I think that's when we start walking into that territory of, oh, I should get rid of this. I don't really need this. It's very easy to rationalize the joy out of things, especially if they are pure joys without much utility versus things that are like conventionally useful and needs. So if you are getting started with minimalism, keep in mind that it is a continuous journey. After all, it is your space, it is your stuff, and it's really up to you to decide what brings you value and what doesn't. Mistake number 3 kind of ties into the whole over decluttering thing, and that is focusing mainly on utility. I pride myself on being a practical queen, but at the end of the day, the joy in life is not always found in just utility and how useful something is. There was a time in my minimalist journey that I wanted to declutter my way down to 10 black t-shirts and 1 pair of jeans because I have more important things to think about. That's when minimalism really became more like miserableism to me, because there was a lot of dissonance there. I realized that I don't really want to just have a bunch of black t-shirts and jeans in my wardrobe. I mean, if you do look at my wardrobe though, it is fairly devoid of color and it's a lot of basic pieces, whatever. I mean, that's me, but that's where I find my joy. So the main thing to get at here is you get to decide what brings you joy, utility, and most importantly, value. Someone else may think it's frivolous and stupid, but that's on them and not on you. That's not your problem. If you want to keep it, keep it. It doesn't have to serve a purpose any greater than that. Mistake number 4 is playing the justification game. Ever notice that whenever a self-proclaimed minimalist buys something, they have to tell you every reason X, Y, and Z and open up their spreadsheet and tell you the cost per wear? Oh, that sounds like me, doesn't it? Man, oh man, did I ever get caught up in the justification game. I found that I was really needing to justify every single dollar and purchase that I made, which would really tie back into the whole utilitarian aspect of things and focusing more on usage versus the joy or value that something can bring you. I really do believe it's important to know your reason why before you buy something, to think about it, to make sure that you can actually afford it. That all has a place, but sometimes just because is reason enough. And mistake number 5 was making minimalism your whole personality. And I definitely made minimalism my entire personality for way longer than I would like to admit. I find sometimes when we focus too much on the label, I find it can really box you in and often doesn't allow room to evolve or to change your mind. And a lot of times you'll see discussions of, that's why I call my version of minimalism intentionalism, enoughism, or for me now I call it minimalist-ish. And I think that is a response to how a lot of people perceive what minimalism or what any other label should look like. And we all know that that's not for anybody else to decide but you, but sometimes those external pressures and judgments and naysayers, it can kind of get to you. And let's not forget the other side of the coin, where then all of a sudden you're trying to convert all your friends to minimalism or create a whole YouTube channel about it. I'm just saying, minimalism is not a personality trait. To me, it's ultimately a tool that you can choose to implement in any which way that works for you to help simplify, make things easier, or to even help you reach a certain goal. So if you're just starting to dabble in the world of minimalism, I hope you can learn from my mistakes. Thank you so much for watching. If you can do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up, it's a great way you can help support my channel. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. We are so close to 100K. I really want that YouTube plaque. Oh my gosh, please, that would be so cool. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. It's cool that my nails can do this. They're long right now.